because of the way they have been doing it here. So it's a serious problem for us, and we will continue to fight this matter. Locally, we have seen also the government support to the fishing industry over the last 2 years. And when we assumed government 2 years ago, in August of 2020, a number of measures, harsh measures, that were there, we removed. For example, we tried to make the fishing industry make it at a low cost. We took out VAT on all the fishing inputs, things like rope, twine, lead, all those things. Outboard engines. We try as much as possible to also help fisher folks to supplement their income. And we have been working very closely with the various organizations that represent fishermen and fisher folks across the country. I know for a fact that the chairman of the number 66 Fisher Folks is the chairman of the National Fisher Folks Organization. So he meets with us almost on a weekly basis to deal with issues that are affecting the fisher folks. I also want to say that the last time the vice president was in Region 6, he made a commitment that he will give you all the help to build a building at number 79 near to Classic for the fisher folks there. And he have instructed us from the Ministry of Agriculture and the Minister of Finance, myself, that we should have that building built shortly. Funds have now been made available, and within 2 weeks, that building will be awarded to a contractor, so you will have your own building. And that's our commitment. Those are commitments that we are talking about. We heard the First President, he came the last time. He made a commitment, we are delivering on those commitments. So this afternoon you are hearing your numbers. I know for a fact you are here in anticipation to collect your cash grant. I want to join with you in welcoming our Vice President, the General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, to address us from the General Secretary.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please be seated. Colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. So, I've been here so often, and I've spoken to you quite a bit. So, at the risk of being redundant, I want to go through a few issues once again. Now, clearly, the many engagements you've had with the Ministry of Agriculture, with the President, when I came here, and I've had 3 such engagements this year alone with the fishermen in this part of the country. And you would recognize that the issue of fishing in Suriname's waters has engaged the attention of the government of Guyana at every level, and it is a serious matter for us. We recognize the injustices that are meted out to fishermen in this part of our country. We recognize the capricious nature of the Suriname's government and the corruption in Suriname that is preventing this issue from being resolved. And I say it today, I know they're going to claim that I'm creating a diplomatic incident by saying that there are officials in Suriname who are totally corrupt and do not want to see this matter resolved because it affects their pockets. They have pecuniary interest in this matter. And it seems as though these individuals, whoever they are so powerful in Suriname that they can negate a promise made by the President of Suriname. So the President of Suriname, as you heard when they came to Guyana with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, in writing, they committed to give 150 licenses to Guyanese fishermen. in writing. The moment they went back to Suriname, they started denying that those commitments were made, although we have them in writing and we published them. But the Minister of Agriculture seems to be more powerful than the President of Suriname. And what has happened since some of the corruption in Suriname has been exposed, where a small group of people are controlling these licenses and then trying to rip off Guyanese fishermen by renting the licenses to them. Once that was exposed, they now have dug in. They seem to want to punish the people who have exposed them in this regard. And so just a couple of weeks ago, the president said to me that President Santoki promised that the fish catch would be landed here. And until now, they would not allow this because the Minister of Agriculture, as I said before, seems to be more powerful than anyone in Suriname. So we can't continue like this forever. We know that they control fishing in their waters and they have a right to license whomever they wish to. But we also have a right to, in this country, to deal on a reciprocal basis with the Surinamese who are here doing business. Because for too long now, we are just tiptoeing around the issue. We're just working at the diplomatic level, but the commitment of the government of Suriname seems not to be worth the paper that it's written on. And so we had this issue with Trinidad and Tobago too, where they would not allow our agricultural products to go into Trinidad, putting up a whole range of phytosanitary restrictions, but the companies operate freely in Guyana, and now because of the oil and gas, they're all coming here. So we have to, like what we did with Trinidad and Tobago, start demanding reciprocity, reciprocal behavior. The way you treat our people, you're going to be treated here, your companies, when you come into this country too. We have to start doing that. First of all, we'll go through the proper route. We'll write CARICOM on this matter because they belong to the Caribbean community. This harassment of the fishermen have to stop, and the only way it could be stopped, we can't trust them on a bilateral basis to resolve this issue. We've had too many commitments that have not been honored. And so our strategy has to change too. And we're going to be playing more hardball now on these matters. So let me make it clear today. I wanted to say it right here. I said it earlier when we met another group of fishermen in Port Morant, and already I'm getting all kinds of calls from the time I said it a few hours, maybe an hour ago. So they're going to try to work that into a media event, but we're going to stand our ground. We can't allow people to continue to treat our citizens in this manner. So that, having said that, I want every fisherman to know that this issue here is not an issue that we forget when we go back, come here and speak to you and we forget about it. It's been engaging our attention every single day. And so I want you to know we'll continue working at it. So today we are here to give the cash grant. But before I address this issue, like I did in other places, so I just want to tell you what we have done today. This morning at Albion, we met with over 200 contractors, and we awarded over 200, maybe 268 lots, that is over 200 roads. Added to the ones that we have already completed this year, that would mean 300 roads will be done, community roads in Berbice this year before the end of the year. When I came here about 5-6 months ago, and I went into Crabwood Creek, people from Little India, Little Africa, Corriverton, going down to Chesney and all of the other places. The president went to Kanji and other areas. And we found that the biggest problem in the region was roads mainly, that people had a major concern about it. And I had to explain this morning what happened basically. In 2011, after the elections, the November elections in 2011, the People's Progressive Party lost the majority in the parliament. APNU AFC had one more seat than we had. And from 2011 to 2015, when the elections were held, they used that one seat majority in parliament to cut over $70 billion from the budget that we put forward. They were cutting everything. You remember that period. So that the elections, we only lasted 3 years in government, and we had to go back to elections from November 2011 to early 2015. And then in the last 5 years, when you look at the capital budget of the APNU government, in every one of those years, they budgeted less money for capital works than we budgeted in 2014. And what are capital works? We've dealt with this so many times. You use that money to build your schools, hospitals, roads, sea defenses, those sorts of things. And so there was a total neglect in almost 10 years from 2011 of infrastructure in this country. They spent a lot of money, don't get me wrong, they spent a lot of money, but on the current side of the budget. And what's the current side of the budget? You've heard us say this: buying vehicles, rentals of building, spending on food, 1.6 billion more, etc. A lot of money on the current side, but at the end of the year, you have nothing to show. So that is the philosophy that we are trying to overcome. So all the road networks in the country basically collapse, the internal roads. And so in this region, in Region 6, it was even worse. In some other regions, of the limited funds that were allocated in the national budget, some regions got more money than others, but Region 6, practically nothing. So Region 6 was singled out for almost an assault, because when you shut down the sugar industry, that took out almost 3,000 jobs, over 3,000 jobs in this region alone, and all of that disposable income, and then you don't spend also on the capital side, then you know what happened. The whole regional economy, Region 6 economy, practically collapsed. And so this is what we are trying to fix across the country. So when we came here, we found that was the biggest concern. We had budgeted in the 2022 budget $4 billion for roads in Berbice, Region 6, the highest ever in the history of our country. But don't clap yet. So when we went back, when we look at the number of roads, we ended up spending this morning awarding nearly $10 billion of roads for internal roads. It's not easy. Those are 300 concrete roads, and we're doing almost all concrete roads now, because if we wait to do the asphalt roads, we're not going to do the chip seal road anymore, asphalt or concrete, because they last long. But if we wait on asphalt with this weather pattern we have now, almost rain every day, we'd never be able to do 100 roads, and the 2025 will come along. We'll never be able, because you have to work only in dry weather to lay the asphalt. But concrete, you can work throughout. And so we have given nearly 200 contractors, small contractors, because concrete roads, you don't need much equipment and technical skills. You don't have to get a paver like the asphaltic roads. So we have nearly over 200 small contractors, and we said to them, we want you to hire people from the communities. So that means that alone, these 300 roads will generate over 2,000 jobs in Berbice. Just fixing those roads, because it's very labor intensive. We made it clear that they have to do the quality. We talk about what quality roads we want and stuff like that. So that's just from the last time we came here. I remember late at night we walked through and people were complaining everywhere. That was the biggest thing. And so if we've done 300 this year, next year we'll do another set, and by year 3, most of the roads in the region can be completed. And these are the internal roads. We're also looking at the main road. So we've set aside $4 billion this year to start the road work. But just moving the pipelines off the road on both sides to widen the main road, removing the electricity poles so you can widen, and building the bridges. There are 99 bridges and structures from New Amsterdam to Molson Creek. So we have to widen these. And that alone is over $10 billion. So when we assessed that yesterday, we were thinking about doing a 3-lane road, widening the road about 4 feet on both sides. But spending all of this money on moving the utilities, we are now examining to now bite the bullet and just go with the 4-lane road right through from Molson Creek all the way to New Amsterdam. So because in 5 years' time, you need more. You need the 4-lane road here because of the pace of development and everything else. Now that's going to cost a lot of money. It might cost upwards of $300 million US dollars. But it has to be done because it starts to change this area, and we've started working on that big project too. So this is just what's in this year's budget. But let me go back to talking to you, tell you about a couple of things I've said before when I've been here. So I've told you about how hard it has been in the last 2 years we've been in office. So 2 years seems like a long time, but when you take out the first year and a half for COVID, that addressing COVID, it left very little time. But we didn't allow COVID to prevent us from fulfilling the promises we made to people. And so every single promise we made in our manifesto, we're on the way to fulfilling those promises. So I can go through them with you. We said on the sugar industry itself, and many of you here have relatives and you work with sugar. We said we want to reopen the sugar industry. That was what we said before the elections. And we've gone to Wales When we look at Wales, you had about 1,700 people lost their jobs there, maybe another 800 or so who were private cane farmers from Canal and the other areas. But there was nothing to reopen, absolutely nothing, because Abnu had already closed the factory, sold out the factory as scrap metal, and gave away the land. So people, they gave the land away to some people. One man got nearly 5,000 acres to plant coconut, but we don't see a single coconut tree up to now. 5,000 acres. And then they say we don't have land for housing, but 5,000 acres could give you 20,000 house lots, because you have about 4 house lots per acre. So even now on West Coast, we have 14,000 people in Region 3 who need plots, house lots. And we don't have public lands. We have to take back some of those lands to give them house lots there. But at Wales, we could not reopen sugar. So we now had to find some jobs for the people who live in those areas. So now we are moving, the gas pipeline will go there, the power plant, the factories using the gas, like a fertilizer plant and other things later. And that will generate thousands of new jobs. And if you look at, on the other side of the river now, a massive port is going to be built into the sea, going out at the mouth of the Demerara River, and that will generate more jobs than basically we lost. Then when we come to Enmore, I'm telling you this because you need to know what's happening at Skeldon. So at Enmore, again, we lost about 800 jobs at Enmore, 700 when they closed. So we now have 2 big investments in Enmore that will generate over 1,000 jobs. And at Fowles, which is next door to Enmore, at the back, we are now building an industrial estate at the cost of $1 billion. And that will generate thousands of new jobs so the people in Enmore, Enterprise, all of those who are working in the sugar industry, they can find employment there. We've decided to take the packaging plant from Enmore and move it to Albion, because we're going to be producing more sugar at Albion. We're at Rose Hall, we lost about 900 jobs. We have rehired about 700 persons there at Rose Hall, and we're looking to diversify. But we've had a hard time. Here at Skeldon, we lost over 2,000 jobs. We hired about 400 or 500 people, but we now need to find alternatives. And that is why when I came here the last time, I met with the private cane farmers and others who have land going into Crabbe to Molson Creek. Because the road we're building will open up more lands there. You have about 35,000 acres of land that we want. We're working with them to put in the infrastructure. We're doing the study now where they can put these lands into other crops that will generate large amount of employment for people who have to work on these farms, etc. We also, a lot of the land, they could only grow sugar on it because that's the lease, says only sugar. But if they don't, we can remove those restrictions so they can put it into other crops, etc. At Skeldon itself, we have about 25,000 acres of land here. So we are trying to split it up into 3 areas, growing some sugar, doing aquaculture, and then the hemp. So we have just passed a law to grow hemp. We're thinking about doing it on a small scale. So the idea is what we're thinking about, we have not finalized it as yet, to get about 1,000 of the sugar workers who lost their jobs, maybe give them a small plot of land or 2 acres that they can grow hemp. You can make a good living from about 2 acres growing hemp. So that's what we're starting to work on, but that means we'd have to put in the infrastructure now so they can have good access to the land and stuff like that. So we're working to ensure that in the long run we have a sustainable set of jobs and employment opportunities here, whilst we're trying to shift more of the oil and gas business into Berbice and the Berbice River, building a deep water port and possibly a refinery there. And then at Palmyra, new hospitals, a whole range of things. The Skeldon Hospital, if you look at the papers today, the contract has been awarded. It's a 30 million US new hospital right up here. A lot of those things happening. So, but although we have not been able to reopen all the estates, we put in nearly $20 billion into the sugar industry since we got into office to keep it going for the existing people. We met our commitment. We believe in keeping our commitment. We're now working across the country to do about 50,000 plots of land for house lots, because a lot of area we don't have. At this end, we're just discussing we'd have to start a new scheme here towards this end, and we're thinking about building in the next few years about 4,000 housing units in this region, because some people want the government to build and then they take the mortgage. We have even decided, because of the increase in building material, the cost of living because of COVID, that has increased badly. Many of the factories have shut. So that for low income houses, if you're building a house, a flat house, one maybe 2-bedroom flat house, the government will give you the steel for the foundation and a sling of cement free to subsidize that. So all of these things we're working to make sure that our manifesto promises on housing will be fulfilled. Now, in 1 year, we allocated 3 times. The first year, we allocated 3 times more plots of land than APNU did in 5 years, including in their communities, in like where they got a lot of votes inland did. So they only talk. So that is fulfillment of that promise too. Then we looked at the children's grant may seem a small thing, but if you APNU took that away from the children, $30,000 for every school child, and we have over 200,000 of them in both private and public schools. When you multiply that by 30,000 a year, per year, it's over $6 billion. That means that our parents now and children, since the PPP got into office, this year they're getting $6 billion more in their pockets than they had under APNU, because they each got 30,000. And we said each child will get 50,000. That's our promise before the end of the 5 years. So that, just imagine that will be about $10 billion a year given to the children and the family through this grant. On the pension itself, it might not seem a big increase, but pensions move from about 20,000 to 28,000. We said before the end of our term, we will double it to 40,000. But every $1,000 in pension and public assistance that you increase, it costs nearly $1 billion, because we have a lot of pensioners and people on public assistance. So the $8,000 increase to the pensioners, if you look at it, it works out to about $8 billion more in the pockets of the pensioners. It may not seem much, but when you add up all the pensioners across the country, that is it. Why are we doing this? Because we believe that you have to transfer more assistance to these people. The COVID, the cost of living, we can do very little about it. We remove all the taxes that APNU put on water, on electricity, on food, on diapers, on baby food, the baby milk, on hinterland travel, on fertilizer, on pesticides. We remove all of those. We removed the 50% tax on fuel, but still the prices went up because the fuel prices globally has gone to $100 a barrel. or over $100 a barrel. Many factories are shut down now, so we import a lot of this inflation. So we now decided that we'd have to find other ways of helping people. And that is why the 4,000 part-time jobs we put in place. Now 4,000 people in this region alone are now working for the government. We just launched it a few months ago. That there are 4,000 per month at $40,000. That's about 160,000 for $160 million a month, nearly $2 billion a year they will earn. And that supplements income, and a lot of women and people and others have been part of that. So I'm telling you, although 2 years we've been focused on the big projects, getting the country transformed, getting rid of some of the overhang from APNU, we have made sure we have kept our promises to the children, the pensioners, the scholarship program. We said we'd launch 20,000 scholarships in 5 years. We're already over 11,000. We'd probably do 15,000. We're already fulfilling our promise on the housing side, on jobs. More people are getting jobs, etc. So you're going to get all this support. Now, when we give this support, you often hear, oh, PPP shouldn't be putting more money into sugar. The same people who say that would never say that we subsidize bauxite for a very, very long time. They would never say that, but they would say about sugar. Even Ramjatan said we're practicing apartheid like South Africa. This guy is a slime bag. I can't find anything else but to say slime bag. So when we help the farmers, you're helping farmers because we give them some fertilizer. Well, you're going to hear by the time I get back to Georgetown, OPP helping fishermen because fishermen support them. But we've helped almost every single industry that has run into this problem. Farmers, fishermen, the bauxite workers, sugar workers, wherever our people get problems. In the hinterland, the Amerindian communities, when you had a hard time. Because that's the nature of the People's Progressive Party. So we've always been like this. And so today, whilst we are tackling I know it might still be a bit rough with the cost of living and everything else. But we have to map out the plans for the future, and we're pursuing it. We're putting up a power plant. We just got the bids in that in 2 years' time will supply twice as much power as we have in GPL, and that would allow us to cut the electricity bill by 50%, and that will happen in 2 years' time. So those are the kinds of things that we're working on. The highways, the bridges. We just awarded a bridge across the Demerara River, a highway from Crane to the bridge. We're now building a highway to Diamond. The East Coast Highway has been awarded, that should be awarded. It's awarded recently by Cabinet, a 4-lane from Mahaika right into Georgetown. This is the infrastructure of the future. And so you hear a lot of the same people talk about high cost of living, and they in the same breath say, take all the oil money and use it up, and then we have a high cost of living. Well, if you spend more, you drive up more prices too. They're contradictory. So we're not going to fall prey to all of that. I'm telling you all of this because I hope that you understand that the challenges are many, but we remain faithful to the things that we promise people when we campaign. We're that sort of party. We don't promise to not close the sugar industry like APNU did, and the first thing they did, they closed it. Or said people in 2015 were paying too much taxes and then went and raised a slew of taxes. We're not of that nature. So today, this is part of moving forward, making sure that more and more of our people enjoy the benefits from our country. We've come a long way. Now let me talk a bit about sharing out money. We have had some bad experience. We shared out, we had the COVID grant, and some people ripped off the system. And then we had the flood relief, and you had some other people rip off the system too. So it ended up that 99% of the people who lost got some help. But you had some people who received help who didn't have any losses, and others who may have lost who didn't get anything because they were not registered. So guess who took the blame? Not the people who were trying to rip off the system, but the government. PPP took the blame, although we were trying to help by providing an 8 billion assistance when they were flooded out. Then the government got the bad name because of this problem. And so we want to avoid that. We can't know 70,000, 80,000 people who receive that assistance. We can't know, you have about 1,000 people here. Just imagine 80 times the size of this crowd here. How they will fill up this whole ground. How can we know if they're telling the truth or not, unless you verify? So it's hard to do that. So when we said it's a fertilizer, when we were sharing that out, we had to bring the rice farmers together. Sophie and I went to every region and involved the farmers. And we took a long time on this one to try to verify too. Because some people, I don't think who ever seen the sea, who ever been there. Just now I was shaking some people's hands and they got some soft hands. I don't think they ever pulled a rope. Right here. Or fetch a box. So, but they're there. So we, you know what will happen? In case anything goes wrong again, guess who will take the blame? The PPP and the government. Although we want to make sure that the people who are legitimate, they get their help. So we didn't want to exclude people too. We didn't want to show out people. So we were a bit generous. Some people claimed they were farmers the last time they got their flood relief, and now they turn fishermen this time around. Right? So we sent the names, we got the names, we put it up at the NDC office. We say you all must object to people. So tell us if you're objecting to the people or not, because we don't know. We can't tell you if they're fishermen or not. And if we had only gone with the registered ones, then a lot of people who are not registered, like fishermen and stuff, even the boats, they wouldn't have gotten the money, but they're actually fishermen, but they didn't register their boats. So we had to move away from that, because if you only go with the boats that were registered, we'd only have a small number of people. I don't mean the Surinamese registration, I mean nationally. So we had to trust people too. So today, the majority of people have been checked. There are two categories that will have to, everyone will get their check, but two categories that we have to verify a bit more, because those are people who didn't have any identification form. So they will have to meet with us separately after this whilst the others are collecting their check. The idea is not to deny them, but to see that they are properly identified. Normally, you'd lose various things, like school records to verify also, or the voters list. Because when you go on the voters list, you have to go through a process of verification already to get. So some people are not there too, and they don't have ID. So that group of people will not receive your checks today. You will receive it on Tuesday. We'll take a few days to verify that. But if you've had your ID and everything and verified, I think, which would 90% of the people here, because in that group we had about only 65 who fell in that category. 146 of how many? Of 931, 146 fall into that category. So you have about 800 people who will get today, and then the rest, the 146, will have to verify you to see that it's accurate. Because we need to do that to ensure accuracy and all of that stuff. So today, that is what is going to happen. Don't feel disappointed if you don't get that. We'll meet with you afterwards and talk with you and tell you how the verification would be done. But I just wanted to bring these few words to you. You would see us more often in the region as the development plans get rolled out. I just gave you a little glimpse about what's happening in the government. It's not easy with an opposition like APNU. They're negative about everything. They didn't do anything in government. They couldn't raise a single plant or anything like that, or do any project of work. But now they have all these brilliant ideas like they did in 2015. But we've seen that. So we ignore them totally, and we just move ahead with the development plans. So thank you very much for being here. Let's move to everything.
Thank you very much, VP. And let me hear you for the Vice President, please. So everybody, as the VP rightly said, two categories. We'll call out the 162 person names just now. But we have a mic there. Anyone want to raise any issue, not personal issue. Any personal issue, we have officers from the VP office who are here, will take your personal issue. If you have any major issue to raise, community issue, fishing issue, then you could go, a mic is there. Yes, Jaina Ryan.
Yes, sir. We get a lot of folks to see a lot of our work projects.
So if they're at sea, once their names are on the list, whenever they come in, we'll make their time and we'll sort it out. They can come Tuesday or any other time.
Whenever they come out.
Whenever they come out.
Right.
Yes, we can work that out. So we don't want to deny them because they're working. Whenever they come in.
Any other issue?
So one man said to me over there that he lost his ID only 2 days ago at sea.
Yeah, but I didn't
You know, so we're gonna have to find his ID. Only 2 days ago he lost it at sea.
Yes, Mr. Minister.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I work on the bridge, 66 bridge, over 10 years.
Which bridge?
66.
66.
Yes. And just because my daughter got a deformed child, I left it for a couple morning. And when I'm going to sign up, I'm going to Mr. Jaina Ryan. Ask him, he was working people. Sign me up, he told me the list gone full. I know how much of them he never hold a rope and say, and then sign up. And me who were going to sign up.
Well, that's why we said to y'all to make sure that you identify the people who want to work, because later you'll come back and say, that is, we identify them. That's precisely what we said. And if you're legitimate, then we should put him on. Let's put him on the list. Once we can verify he's a fisherman, put him on the list. Right? So make sure. But if there are people who are ripping off the system, please don't come. Right? We're trying to be generous to people. But you also have to be honest about this stuff.
Sir, he know who work and who don't work.
Yeah.
Well, the fact is, January, here the comment stage making allegation and number.
I work with he-board.
All right. Okay. So your thing will be fixed. All right.
Somebody back here.
We'll get your name on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Anyone else who is in that position who didn't get on, we can verify. Anyone in here?
I got something right for you.
Okay. So yes, let's hear about people who may be on the list that shouldn't be there.
We can continue.
All right. Okay, well, you go on, but
Good afternoon, sir.
yeah. Good afternoon. Yes, yeah, good afternoon.
I would like to reason this show about there's a poor fisherman who fish in the back down every day with cast.
Yeah, come on, if we go already when we announced this thing, it was supposed to be 5,000, it doubled now to 10,000. Everybody in my village got cast net. We're gonna give every single person. Now, there gotta be an end to this thing too, you know? If every single person who got cast net now don't go. You understand? Yes, I know, but that is the problem, that when you do it, every single person. So, let me ease and let me do with this thing, this maritime bit. Let me ease it up. Let me ease this and get over this thing, or else I'm going to take another 3 months to verify. You're going to wait another 3 months. Yeah. Huh? Well, all right, that's what I said. Go with the other guy and let's see. Let's verify. Right, so go with the other man. Where's the other man? So go now and let them check. They'd have to check it out though. Okay?
Any other?
All right. Yes. Okay, the part-time job. All right. Okay, you're welcome. Let's say, and if when I leave here, right? So we're gonna now move to give now the checks to those who are here, so you can get the thing. The others are gonna move somewhere and meet me somewhere else. The 146.
Yeah, so when you call your name now, and you just come out and come at the back here. And you then
Not the back here, man. Let it go under the tent. Let all them people move out there.
all right. So
Okay. Or what about that building there?
let's go
This corner.
here,
Yeah.
right?
And I meet with them, right? So
Let's say your name and go across here.
So that's it. But if you want me to follow up on anything, a lot of people got NIS problems up to now. Ashley is here. Ashley is the minister in charge of NIS. We've dealt with over 5,000 cases so far from the outreaches. And so give your name to Steve. Where is Steve? Steve over there. Come out to the ring. Come and where is the REO? So anybody who has any problem you want us to follow up on, when we go back to Georgia, all I need is your name and number. Then we'll call you and find out what's going on. So if you have a birth certificate problem, a problem with land issues or NIS and all of that, we can try to help as much as possible. So give your name and number so we can move forward with this activity to these two people. Okay? All right then. Thank you.
Okay. Anil Prasad, Rohit Sinurain, Suraj Tassel, Compton Jitlal, Goswami Krishnan, Indral Nandan, Balraj Sinurain. And just to remind you, the names I'm calling, please go to that building where the VP will be there. Devdat Tukwa, Mahesh Budram, Suraj Paul Sampa.